Yes.
Okay, great. So a very good morning from wherever you're joining us from within Eastern Africa and beyond. Welcome to this information webinar where we'll be sharing more details about the call for regional innovation collaboration projects. So I'll just briefly have an overview of BioInnovate and talk about the call and then the evaluation process. And then we'll briefly go through the call requirements, and then we'll have a larger discussion with each one of you. If you have any questions, clarifications, comments, feel free to already start posting your questions already. So BioInnovate Africa, for those that may not know, is a regional innovation-driven initiative or network which is stimulating a bioeconomy in Eastern Africa. And as you can see, we have underlined or emphasized the regional aspect, but also innovation, because that is what our main focus is about. We work across 8 countries within Eastern Africa, and the work that we support is shared across Burundi, DR Congo, Ethiopia, Kenya, Rwanda, Tanzania, South Sudan, and Uganda. And when it comes to innovation, for us, we understand it as using knowledge, which could be ideas, texts, or technologies or processes to bring added value to target groups within a specific context. So BioInnovate is also implemented as a program of the International Center of Insect Physiology and Ecology, which is headquartered here in Nairobi, Kenya. The program is also funded by SIDA, which is the Swedish International Development Cooperation Agencies. So far, we have worked with over 300 scientists and innovators within the region, and these are spread across over 100 organizations. And these organizations are mainly universities, research institutes, private firms, which also include private companies, not-for-profit organizations, CBOs, and also government agencies. So what we do is to mainly support scientists who are mainly from universities, research institutes, but also private firms, to translate their intellectual assets, which are in form of biological-based ideas and inventions, to translate these into value-added goods and services that can practically be used in society. So we do this mainly through grants, but also technical support to achieve our mission. Now, we work in 3 main ways, and that is how we also support the scientists that we work with. First is through co-creation of value-added goods and services, where scientists collaborate with existing companies to develop or to co-develop value-added products. That's the first way. The second is through creation of business prospects, where we support development of bio-based enterprises through professional business incubation. And thirdly, we also support strengthening of innovation ecosystems, which enhance a conducive environment that spurs innovation, especially in institutions which we support, and also the countries where we work. So the call is intended for scientists, like I mentioned earlier, from universities, research institutes, and government agencies to work together with their counterparts in the private sector, okay, to co-develop value-added products from biological resources. So the scientists we are talking about here should be employees of each of these organizations that I've mentioned, and they must be resident in the eligible countries of the call. Now, for the purpose of this call, we have also explained who a scientist is. We have clarified even in the call guidelines, and what we refer to as a scientist mainly includes all individuals who are qualified in or they are practicing physical, natural, and engineering sciences, medicine, business, social, or other related disciplines, just to clarify that. So when it comes to the eligible countries, we are mainly looking at 8, and these are Burundi, DR Congo, Ethiopia, Kenya, Rwanda, South Sudan, Tanzania, and Uganda. So the thematic areas are 3, and these are also provided in detail in the call guidelines. The first being value addition to agro-produce and other biological resources. And the second being biological waste conversion. And the third being biological-based healthcare products. So for detailed examples and explanations about the thematic areas, please refer to the call guidelines, which have been provided to you also on our website. So the grant size is up to $1 million, and the minimum amount per project partner is $200,000 for a period of up to 3 years. So with regard to team composition, we are looking at concept notes where teams are organized in different ways, but overall, we are looking at a minimum of 3 members from 3 eligible countries, okay? And each of these 3 members are affiliated to specific organizations, and at least one of each of these members must be from the private sector, okay? So this is the arrangement. This is just an example, the first one being 3, including the project leader, and then the maximum should be 5 members from at least 3 of the eligible countries. We highly encourage you to include female participants in your teams, and also, if possible, also include members that are coming from from countries like Rwanda, from Burundi, DR Congo, and Ethiopia as well. So when it comes to the evaluation process, when your concept notes will be received on our end, the system, because you're uploading your concept note through an online platform, the system will automatically assign unique numbers to each of your applications. And then we will screen the concept notes here at the Program Management Office. We will check for eligibility and completeness, and those that fail the eligibility checks will be disqualified at that stage. But those that pass will now be reviewed by an expert group of up to 5 people, okay? And those that will be shortlisted will now be invited to develop into full proposals. So when the full proposals are submitted, then they will also be reviewed by an expert group of up to 2 to 3 experts per proposal. And then the finalists will be selected by the BioInnovate Africa Program Advisory Committee. So that's ideally the process that will happen with your concept note if it is successful across all the stages. This is the criteria. There are mainly 6 areas. 1 is about regionality. Number 2, which is also very important, is about the innovativeness of the proposed solution. And then also a well-articulated need that the solution will address. And fourthly, which is also very important to us, is the expected impact or potential market of the proposed solution. And then number 5 is environmental sustainability of the project with regard to carbon emission reductions and also contribution to biodiversity conservation. And finally is about the team itself and what really motivates them to do this work. So what are the key requirements? We have been having several questions around this, and please pay full attention here because these are very important. The first one being, there has to be a fully completed concept note, minimum of 7, maximum of 9 pages, including references, okay? We have provided a concept note template already on the website and also in the call guidelines, it's included. There's an editable version. However, if you fail to download, try to check your browser. Normally it downloads as a separate document, okay? Then secondly, we also need you to submit some kind of proof of legal status of the organization for each of the member in your team. So everybody in the team must submit a proof of legal status of the organization to which they are affiliated. For example, it can be a certificate of registration or incorporation for a private company, and then it can be a statute or gazette for a university or public university or private, and so on and so forth, okay? Thirdly, you must submit the latest audited financial statement for each of your team members in your team. Okay. And again, if you're not able to submit, then if your concept note is shortlisted, there has to be commitment that the audited reports will actually be submitted in due course when you're asked to do so. Then fourthly, there has to be a signed letter of support from the head of the organization for each of your project partner or team member. Now, this letter should indicate commitment to support the project and also including, you know, some kind of clarity about the matching fund contribution. The number 5 is a 2-page CV of each project team member. I think these are pretty straightforward. So these have to be uploaded together with your concept note in the online application form. So again, how to apply? The concept notes should be in English using the template that has been provided. There's an editable version. And then after which you then upload everything, including the document requirements through the online platform. So the deadline is just 12 days away. That is on Tuesday, 19th July, not later than 23:59 hours, which is just a minute to midnight East African time. And just to inform you that if the system records your concept note has been received at 0000 hours, unfortunately, that will be already beyond the deadline time. And so it will be disqualified. So ensure that you submit your concept note in time and avoid the last minute rush. And finally, just to encourage you to please read the call guidelines. If there's anything that you need to write your concept note well, it's the call guidelines. Everything is provided there. If you do not if you have some issues that you need clarity on, feel free to drop us an email BioInnovate@icipe.org, or even give us a call. We will be able to respond to your queries. So without much ado, I would now like to hand over back to Valine so that we can start the Q&A session. Thank you.
Thank you, Shira. We can now move over to the Q&A session. I only see one hand that has been raised. We urge you to raise your hands as well. And on the question and answer session, we have a few questions and some have been answered, but I can go to the first one. Is it required to have a public sector member for the team, I believe?
Okay, so thank you very much. You can, I mean, it's okay to have a public sector organization as part of your member, but remember, the eligible applicants we are looking for are scientists. So you can be from private or from public. Okay, so it's okay as long as you're an eligible applicant.
Okay, thank you, Shira. Julius from Uganda is asking, please share the key roles of the project leader.
Well, the project leader is really supposed to provide oversight and you know, kind of manage the coordination of the partners in the team. For now, that is what we can give. But as we go along and as we develop your concept note into a full proposal, we will make this a little bit clearer. But also the project leader participates in the actual implementation of the project, of the activities. They are fully, you know, participating. And we normally, as the program management office, engage directly with the project leader, who then cascades to the team members accordingly. Yeah, so for now, that is what I can say.
Okay, thank you, Shira. Can an applicant be from an NGO sector?
Yes, an applicant can also come from a not-for-profit or non-governmental organization.
Okay.
Maybe just to clarify that whichever organization you're coming from, if you're, we are considering an NGO more or less as a private firm, but you must be engaged in some kind of commercial activity, okay, in order for you to qualify as a private firm or a private sector for that matter. Thank you.
And then Frederick is asking, must a private sector enterprise be a limited company?
Yes, okay. Yes, you can be a private limited company, you can be a social enterprise as long as you're engaged in commercial activities within the region.
Okay, and then what's the contribution of the different evaluation criteria to the overall mark?
Great question. Well, I think the total, can I hand over to my colleague Julius to say something about that?
Okay, thank you, Shira, and thanks for the person who asked the question. So each criteria is scored up to 10 points, but they will be weighted. So
yeah. Okay, thank you, Julius.
Okay, so I have allowed Tesgai to ask his question. Are you able to, I've allowed you to talk, so are you able to unmute yourself and ask your question? Tesgai, I've allowed you, yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah. Thank you so much. My question is answered previously. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, you had raised your hand. So let me go back to the question. How many projects are needed, stroke selected? I think that's on the call, but Shira, yes?
How many? Can you say that again?
Projects are needed, will be selected. How many projects do we want?
Okay, so for this call, we will select up to eight projects.
Okay, and then what is the status of collaborators from West Africa? Are we recognized as a team or a collaborator? And what is the limit of funds that we may get in the collaboration with Eastern African members?
Okay, thank you very much for that question. Western Africa, you know, participants can collaborate with their East African counterparts only as collaborators, but not as a core team member. They should not be listed anywhere in the concept note, but they can be mentioned in the concept note, what their role will be and what their contribution will be. They bring in, you know, special expertise in certain areas of the concept note that is being, you know, developed, but they are not, you know, fully involved as a core team. Now, when it comes to the funds, it will only be the organizations that are legally registered in any of the 8 eligible countries that will receive funds in order to implement activities within the region. For the collaborators, the eligible partners or the core team members will be the ones to meet their costs of the collaborators in relation to travel. Okay, they will only be limited to travel and any other related costs to facilitate the collaborators from Western Africa to be able to carry out activities in Eastern Africa. So that is the extent to which the collaborators can participate in projects.
Okay, thank you, Shira. I've allowed Million Afesa to talk, so please unmute yourself and ask your question.
Thank you. My question is already addressed.
Okay, so if your questions have, if you've raised your hand and your question has already been addressed, kindly lower it down. And then Shira, maybe another question. How can I meet other innovators from other eligible countries?
Okay, so we encourage you to find your own partners, because BioInnovate will not be able to matchmake for you or look for partners for you, because we do not know what you're doing or how you do it. We leave that to you to decide. You can do that through your own networks, or even we have provided you an opportunity here through the chat to interact freely. You can drop your email so that people can be able to see and also be able to join you in case they need to. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Shira. Daniel, I've allowed you to talk. You can ask your question. Unmute yourself.
Yeah, I just wanted, thank you very much for that presentation and the guidance on developing the concept notes. My question is already written there, but I wanted to know whether we can upload the summary of the financial statement from the Auditor General, because our documents are sometimes very big and we don't know how, whether all the full document is required. Can I upload the summary of the financial statement, which has the signature and all the stamps?
Okay, thank you so much, Daniel. I would like to request my colleague Abel to say something about that.
Thank you, Shira, and thank you for the question. You are strongly encouraged that you try to upload all the complete report, not the summary. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, another question. I think I need to be more clear on the team members of applicants. Can all the 3 persons from a member country be a team of a project? Let me ask that question again. Can all the 3 persons from a member country be a team of a project?
No, you'll be disqualified. Remember, the rule is minimum of 3 members from at least 3 countries. Okay, so all the 3 can all not come from the same country. You need to find partners in other countries. If you decide you can have 3 in one country and then look for 2 others from 2 different countries, and then you can make a team of 5 from at least 3 countries. I hope that is clear.
Okay, thank you, Shira. Maurice also, I think he had asked the same question. We are a team of 3 organizations, all from Kenya. Are we still eligible, or we need to get 2 more from different countries? So I think that is.
I've answered that.
Yeah, I want to understand if we are required to have a scientist from a university, i.e. public sector, or can all the scientists be from the private sector?
We encourage you to have a mix of scientists from different organizations. And like I mentioned earlier, at least 1 should be from the private sector. And the reason is very simple. We are looking at innovations that are coming from either the private sector or the academia, or from the research institutions. And these innovations should be taken on by the private company or the private sector whichever way, it could be a social enterprise or a non-governmental organization, they should take that innovation on as part of their business offering. And that is that's the purpose. However, if you decide to have all, private entity, that should be fine. I think that should be also okay. Yeah, but ideally you should understand the way we are looking at this, because we ideally support innovations that are coming from, from the knowledge base, and then moving into the market. Okay, that's the idea.
Okay, thank you, Shira. Alexi, I think, yeah, Alexi, I've allowed you to ask your question. Please unmute yourself. Alexi, are you there?
Good morning. Yes. So I thank you very much for concerning this presentation. That is important. So I would like to know exactly concerning the financial situation that is required as a document, but the answer has been given. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Shira, what of a sole proprietor? Is it eligible as a commercial enterprise?
Well, we discourage a lot sole proprietors because we want to have legally recognized entities, okay? And I think a sole proprietorship is not per se a legal entity, okay? We encourage private limited liability companies. We encourage social for-profit enterprises, non-governmental organizations that are legally registered. So we request that actually for sole proprietors and also startups they are not eligible to apply for this call.
Okay, Shira, thank you. I've allowed Tali PC to speak. Tali, you can unmute yourself. In the meantime, maybe I can ask another question. Are team members limited to only 5 people?
Yes, that's the maximum.
Okay. Tale, go ahead. I can see you've unmuted yourself.
Just my question is answered. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I kindly request you to lower your hand if your question has been addressed. Can an entrepreneur with business name work? I don't know if that is clear.
Like I mentioned earlier, we are looking more for private limited liability companies that are legally registered and already operating within the region. Sole proprietors, business name, startups, for this call, you're not eligible. We encourage you actually to look out for an upcoming opportunity for you to participate in a call where we will be likely looking more at startups and very early stage ideas for now. But for this call, we are looking for existing private companies that are registered and operational. We are excluding startups, sole proprietors, and business names. Thank you.
Thank you, Shira. Catherine, I've allowed you to speak, so unmute yourself. Catherine.
Hello?
Yes. Kindly ask your question. You have muted yourself. Okay, in the meantime, Catherine, unmute yourself. And then I think she has posted her question. Julia said that the criteria will be differently weighed. Can you tell us what the weighing is for each of the criteria?
I think he mentioned that the score will be up to 10 points for each criteria, and that will then be weighted accordingly.
Okay. Does the period of operation matter in terms of years? Audited accounts and financial statements for private companies, will a newly registered company qualify?
Of course, if you're 1 year into operations or maybe 6 months, I don't think you will have an annual. If you're 6 months old, you can't have an annual financial report. We are looking for annual. So maybe Abel, you could help here. But if it is the latest financial audited statement, then it should be a minimum at least of maybe a year or so. Abel, maybe you could clarify this.
Thank you, Shira, and thanks for the question. Rightfully so. At least an audited statement is one of the criteria. Whether it's less than 3 years that you have will be maybe can be discussed as a case-by-case matter, but at least an audited statement is required on the minimum. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Eunice Minyata, I've allowed you to ask your question. Please go ahead. Eunice, I can see you have unmuted yourself. We can't hear you. You're
so low. Can you
Yes.
try to increase the volume on your side?
Okay, maybe I ask another question. Hello, can you clarify a little bit about ethical issues as regarded from the CN template? Call of, I think it's the template from the call.
Okay, I would like to hand over this question to Julius.
Okay, thank you, Sharon. Thanks for the question. So the ethical issues, if you're working on human subjects or animal subjects, then your project should undergo, ethical review, either by what they call ethical review committees or some kind of approval in your country. But we recognize that this approval may not be there at the moment. If you have it, that's fine. But if you don't have it, then you should describe plans to obtain such approval if you are selected for this grant.
Okay, thank you, Julius. Harriet Munyinza, I've allowed you to ask your question. You can unmute yourself.
Okay, I hope you hear me.
Yes, we can.
I'm asking now, suppose you have a private sector partner and a research institute as applicants from the same country. Is it allowed? Can they also be partners on the project, full partners?
Yes, they can be partners, provided that for the entire project team, you have at least 3 partners from at least 3 countries as a minimum, and a maximum of 5 from at least 3. So if you, for instance, you can have a research institute, a scientist from a research institute partnering with another business professional from a private company in the same country, and then you partner with somebody else from country B and another person from country C. Okay, that can be a team. That's a team of 4, or you could even have a team of 5, or even, but the rule should remain. You must have minimum 3, maximum 5 from at least 3 eligible countries.
Okay, thank you, Shira. I hope, Harriet, that was clear.
Yeah, maybe maybe one thing I need to add. I also see Harriet's question about partner representing one country. I think let's clarify that for this application, an individual can only appear in one concept note, from. However, if you're an organization, then you can have several scientists in your organization participating in different concept notes, and they can submit. So that's how it ought to be. Then the other thing is we also recognize that even if you're an individual from an organization, of course you don't work alone in that organization. But the details of who else you will work with in the organization comes later, not in this concept note. If you wish, you can describe them, but that really will be a detail that maybe comes in the implementation.
Okay, thank you, Julius. There's another question. To make the collaboration, shall we find anyone from the eligible countries?
Say that again.
To make up the collaboration, shall we find anyone from the eligible countries?
Yes. Like I mentioned earlier, please use your existing networks. You could even try to engage, like associations or maybe councils and commissions of science, technology, and innovation in your countries to be able to reach out to potential applicants in different countries. So please use your existing networks in your countries to reach out to partners from other countries. It's possible to be able to find collaboration and partnerships in other countries.
Okay, Shira. There's a finance-related question here. If we are 4 partners, can we divide the $1 million among the 4? That is more than 2,000 USD per partner.
Or 200,000, yes.
Yeah, 200, sorry, 200,000.
The minimum, it doesn't mean that you have to take the minimum. If you're 4, the minimum can be 200,000, another partner can be 250, as long as the total is up to $1 million for all the 4.
Okay, so we have here a question from Jiveri. Are previous guarantees eligible? If yes, should the focus be on new idea or otherwise kindly advise?
Previous grantees are also eligible to apply. And of course, we don't expect to have the same idea coming up again. Yeah, so it will be very competitive. Try to, it's up to you to decide, really. We cannot decide for you what you would want to do or to achieve. But as included in the criteria, regionality is key, innovativeness, the need, the expected impact, the environmental sustainability, and all that will be scored accordingly. So we leave that to you to decide.
Okay, thank you, Shira. I've allowed Christine to speak. Kindly unmute yourself.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, I'm Christine. I think my question was answered because I was asking in how many innovations can I be?
Yeah, you can only participate in one application if you're in that organization. And like Julius mentioned, your organization can submit many applications as long as the applicants appear once in each of the applications they submit.
Okay. Kajo, I've also allowed you to ask your question. You can proceed. Okay, maybe we go to another question. John Mionga is asking what aspects of students funding are eligible? Is that clear, Shira?
Yes, for students, we are only going to support their stipends. And for master's students, we have included it in the detailed call. It's 12 months. And then for PhD students, it's 24 months. But also, we will support the research costs. So we expect that the students will be already registered in their respective universities, so we will not pay tuition. Tuition fees, that is something that has to be already catered for by the students themselves or through their university. And of course, the supervisor has to, have responsibility over the student in terms of their performance and academic, academic obligations. I hope that's clear.
Okay, I hope so too. James is asking, we are in the private sector commercializing a disruptive proprietary innovation. We are already piloting in 3 countries. We have our own scientists. How do we collaborate with a generally inefficient, wasteful public sector research institution? Too much red tapes upfront.
Whoever has asked that question, thank you. I think we leave that to you to decide really how you would want to have engagement. And already if you're piloting it and rolling it out, if there are aspects that you think can be of value, or you may not have the expertise within your own organization or in-house, and you would like to collaborate, it does not have to only be an academic university. It can be a research institution which is already resident and operational within the region. You could always partner with them. But remember, the concept is we are co-developing value-added products and developing goods and services for society. That is the idea. And we want to encourage a lot of co-creation and collaboration. So if you feel you do not want to collaborate, then I think this call is not for you. Maybe you wait a little bit longer for similar opportunities that are upcoming for you to roll this out, or maybe take it a little notch higher. Thank you.
Okay, is it okay for all the partners to be from research institutions only?
No, it is not okay. In fact, you'll be disqualified. Like I mentioned earlier, at least one of your partners must be a private sector private firm.
Okay. Kajo, I don't know if you are back. You can unmute yourself and ask your question.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, my question has been answered. I was asking about if one institution can submit more than one concept, but I've got it. Thank you.
Okay. Are communication experts eligible, or must we have a scientist in our team? How about in the event that our team leader is a communication expert and not a scientist? That is Charity asking.
Well, it really depends on what you're working on, really, and what the communication expert is going to do. The communication expert may be going to probably do a bit more on the marketing and distribution aspects. And you could have another team member who is a scientist. And it's okay for you to be a leader, even if you're a communication expert. Remember, the definition of a scientist that we have listed, we've said that it's any individual that is practicing or participating in any way in physical sciences, engineering sciences, medicine, biology, business, social aspects, and so on and so forth, and any related discipline. So really, it depends on whatever it is that you're going to do and what your contribution is to the project.
Okay, thank you, Shira. We are 6 minutes. We have 6 minutes left before the time. I've allowed Albert. Albert, you can unmute yourself and ask your question. Albert Francis. Okay, maybe I can ask another question. Will a local branch satellite office of a firm registered outside the participating country be eligible to participate?
For those, we are looking mostly at organizations that are legally recognized and registered in any of the 8 eligible countries. That is the bottom line. So try to look and see whether your satellite is it legally recognized? Is it registered in any of the 8 eligible countries? If not, then you're not eligible to apply.
Okay. Johannes, I think. Johannes, I've allowed you to ask your question. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, thank you very much. Good morning. My question is actually related to the concept note, the template. Are we going to use a separate concept note, or we are going to use the same, which is downloaded from the website? The other question is related to the number of page limit. Does that page limit includes, if we are working on the template, does that include the cover page? The other is, in the concept note, there are a table in which we include the team members. Is it only the members which apply from each institute, or can we include those participating within the institute? Because to develop this concept, several individuals from the same institute can participate. So should we include them, or should we include only the team leader of that institute? The other question is related to the type of institute. I got a collaborator from South Sudan, but he is a consultant. So can we participate such kind of institute to partner in this call? These are my questions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Johannes, for that loaded question. With regard to the concept note, the downloadable version of the template is what you're going to actually upload on the online system. It's the one you're going to fill, complete, and then upload through the system. I hope that's clear. Then when it comes to the pages and the cover page, as you see, the concept note template is pretty straightforward. I don't think there's even a cover page. So just use the concept note as it is, the template as it is. You don't need to include a cover page. Just, follow the format as it is given, and the maximum should be 9 pages in total. Then for the team members, like Julius mentioned, just list the key contact team member from that organization. We understand that there are many others that will be participating together with you. For now, don't list them in the concept note and in the application. Just list one particular person who is more or less like the lead in that organization for each of your partners. Okay. And then the others will participate in the background. They don't need to be listed in the concept note. And then for the consultant, I'm wondering whether you're bringing them on board as a collaborator, not as a partner. That is okay. They can be included. However, they should not be listed as the core team. If that's what you're looking at, they should be included somewhere. You should mention what they are bringing on board and what their contribution will be. What value added are they bringing to your project? But also just to mention that South Sudan is one of the eligible countries. So if they are, participating fully as a partner, you're free to include them as a core team member. I hope this clarifies.
Shira, I wanted to just add, maybe for the, for the different team members from the same organization working on the concept note. Okay, even though we encourage you to list only the lead, but I think for purposes of being transparent, equity, and also acknowledging others, I think you can list them. You can mention them, as people who work with you. But if that is okay, if it doesn't offend anybody, you can leave them. If they insist, they should be mentioned for whatever reason or policy of your institution, organization. You're free to list the people you work with. Just like we do in publications, you list, you acknowledge those you work with. But that's optional.
Okay, we are on time, but Shira, maybe this one question: does it mean that each partner country should present only one team member and one CV to represent the country on application?
Well, it depends. I don't want to restrict it to one. Like I mentioned earlier, you can even have 2 team members from one country. Okay. So that means actually what I can say is all the team members you list in your concept note must submit a CV.
Okay. I think we have come to the end of the webinar. For those whose questions have not been addressed, kindly be on the lookout on the BioInnovate Africa website page. We are going to re-upload the question and answer information. If we feel like your answer has not been addressed in any of these discussions or on email, and you can find it. We were recording this webinar, so also you can be on the lookout on our website. We'll be posting this second webinar for your reference as well. I think I don't have additional input. We hope you will all apply. Kindly note you have only 12 days remaining. And we believe you have not been having any challenges with the system since we have not seen any question regarding the system. So we wish you all the best and we look forward to receiving your applications, your concept notes. So without much ado, we'd like to end this meeting, this webinar, and wish you all the best. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.